distributed copies of the minutes to the members. The floor is now open for any motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
given that the copies of the minutes of the previous meeting was already distributed to the members through the respective emails, and may I therefore move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and to approve the said minutes on November 2024 meeting. I so move, Madam Chair.
is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The minutes of the previous meeting held last November 2024 is hereby approved. Good morning to my esteemed colleagues, members of the committee, authors of the measures to be taken up today, and to our invited resource persons and guests. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Committee on Justice. We have 3 items on our agenda for today. First is the consideration and approval of the substitute bill on the Digital Nomad Visa Act. The bill is the product of the technical working group headed by Vice Chair Loreto Acharon, who is here with us today. The Chair would also like to inform the body that another bill, House Bill number 10912, was filed by Representative Pablo John Garcia, and it was to refer to the committee after the creation of the TWG. Therefore, at the proper time, the Chair would call on Representative Garcia or his authorized representative to formally sponsor the measure before the committee. We have invited other members of the TWG representing the DOJ, the DFA, the DICT, the DOT, and the Bureau of Immigration in case any member would wish to clarify any issue with regard to the bill. The next 2 items in the agenda involve bills that are the product of an unprecedented inquiry in aid of legislation being conducted by 4 standing committees: the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, the Committee on Human Rights, the Committee on Public Order and Safety, and the Committee on Public Accounts, more popularly known as the Quadcom. After extensive deliberations that sometimes lasted until midnight, after hearing the testimony of witnesses under oath, and after receiving numerous documentary evidence, the chairpersons and members of the Quadcom filed remedial measures that would protect the right to life, liberty, and property of Filipino citizens and penalize those who would violate such rights. The first such measure is the Civil Forfeiture Act, which aims to provide for an expedited proceeding to revert back to the state properties that are for the exclusive use of Filipino citizens but have been acquired by foreign entities or individuals through illegal and fraudulent means. We have invited resource persons from the Office of the Court Administrator of the Supreme Court, the DOJ, the DILG, the DOF, the DORM, the OSG, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, and the Land Registration Authority to give their comments on the bill. Second, the chairpersons and members of the Quadcom also filed House Bill number 10986, or the Anti-Extrajudicial Killing Act. This bill seeks to define extrajudicial killings and impose penalties on those who would commit such a crime. It also provides for the compensation for the victims of extrajudicial killings and their families. Our job here today in this committee is to deliberate on the technical aspects of these measures to ensure that the intent of the authors who filed this bill will be reflected in the final version to be submitted by this committee to plenary. We have also invited legal experts and representatives from various government agencies in order to hear their comments and recommendations. We also hope that the members of the committee will provide their inputs on the bill in order to make the proposed measures responsive to the findings of the Quadcom in their marathon hearings. Thank you very much. At this point, the committee secretary is directed to acknowledge the presence of our regular and ex-officio members present today, as well as our invited guests and resource persons. Comsec.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. On behalf of the Honorable Chairperson, Judith Marie De Leon Ferrer, the committee acknowledges the presence of the following members: the Honorable Vice Chair Loreto Acharon, the Honorable Representative Francisco Jose Bingo Matugas, and the Honorable Representative Jaime Fresnedi. For our guests and resource persons, we have the following present today. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Director Lailani Feliciano. and Attorney Nadine Rosario Morales from the Office of the Consular Affairs Visa Division. From the Department of Information and Communications Technology, we have Director Gino Liano and Mr. Tristan Zipangan. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Attorney Mark Ivan Picardal. From the Office of the Solicitor General, we have Senior State Solicitor Lester Fiel, Associate Solicitor Jacinto Jericho de la Rosa, and Associate Solicitor Lance Aidan Olives. From the DILG, Attorney Ross Rafael Bascuña is here. From the Anti-Money Laundering Council, Attorney Anthony Lawrence Morales, Attorney Carmela Christine Montero Asan are present.
Morning. Thank you.
And we have also invited resource persons from the Department of Justice, the Department of Tourism, the Office of the Court Administrator, the Department of Finance, the Department of Agrarian Reform, and the Department of Budget and Management, Commission on Human Rights, Public Attorney's Office, the National Security Council, the National Bureau of Investigation, the AFP, the National Police Commission, the DILG, the National Union of People's Lawyers and Karapatan. Your Honor.
Some of the resource persons will be here this afternoon, correct, Comsec?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Vice Chairperson from the 2nd District of Batangas, Honorable Jervil Luistro. We now proceed to the first item in the agenda. Committee Secretary, you're directed to read the title of the bill for item A.
House Bill Number 8165, an act providing for a new visa category for digital nomads and appropriating funds therefore, filed by Honorable Representative Francisco Jose Bingo Matugas. House Bill Number 9766, an act creating a new visa category for digital nomads and appropriating funds therefore, filed by Representative Eduardo Roa Rama Jr. And House Bill Number 10912, an act institutionalizing the grant of digital nomad visas, providing benefits and incentives therefore and for other purposes, filed by Representative Pablo John Garcia.
As mentioned earlier in my opening remarks, the House bill filed by Congressman Pablo John Garcia was referred to the committee after the creation of the TWG, so he did not get a chance to sponsor his bill. However, he's not here with us today.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Kong.
given the absence of the author, on behalf of the author Pablo John Garcia, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill Number 10912 be adopted as the sponsorship speech for the said measure. I so move, Madam Chair.
That's noted, Kong Ton. And now we would like to ask you to present the output of the TWG as the TWG chair, Vice Chair Acharon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair, dear colleagues. Good morning also our distinguished resource persons. It is my honor and privilege to present before this committee the output of the technical working group, which is the substitute bill to House Bill numbers 8165, 9766, and 10912, entitled An Act Establishing the Requirements, Conditions, Benefits, and Incentives for Acquiring a Digital Nomad Visa and Appropriating Funds therefor. This substitute bill is a product of technical working group meetings, actually two, Madam Chair, held on March 13 and December 5, 2024. This must be December 5, 2023. 2023. Yes, December 5. I'm sorry. Where the provisions were extensively discussed in the final version crafted in its present form. But before I proceed to the highlights of the bill, I would like to inform the good author of House Bill 10912, unfortunately not here, that the technical working group took into consideration his bill, even though it was filed and referred to the committee after the TWG meeting was conducted. In fact, some of the provisions in the final version initially came from the bill of Representative Garcia. In other words, Madam Chair, this substitute bill fully considered all the measures to come up with a consolidated version for approval today. So, without ado, I would now like to present the highlights of the substitute bill dear colleagues and Madam Chair, in a manner, section by section, accepting only the short title, which is, I do not, which I assume there is no more issue on that, because that is agreed to be known as the Digital Nomad Visa Act. Now, on the second issue is on the definition of terms. The TWG added the definition of a client or employer to be consistent with the definition of employment under the present provisions of the Labor Code. The intent is for a digital nomad to be gainfully employed or to be performing work or services for a client or employer based abroad. This is consistent also with the definition of a digital nomad and to prevent any foreigner from exploiting this new visa category for illegal means. Number 2, the technical working group also added the definition of information and communications technology, which was, by the way, approved by the DICT, and this emphasizes the requirement that a digital nomad must be performing work or services for a foreign client or employer through information and communications technology. Number 3, on Section 4, the TWG approved the main subject of the bill, which is the digital nomad visa. This visa is valid for a period of 12 months or 1 year, renewable for another 12 months, subject to the requirements and conditions provided in the Act. The provisions or conditions are already in the said measure. Number 4, Section 5, which provides for the qualifications of a digital nomad, made a clarification that qualifications are personal to the applicant, who must possess all these qualifications when applying for a digital nomad visa and must continue to possess in order for the digital nomad visa to remain valid. Number 5, in Section 6, which provides for the requirements have to be submitted by the applicant. It requires the submission of a proof of employment, income, and health insurance coverage. It also requires proof of no criminal record in the applicant's home country, in a written undertaking subscribed under oath that the applicant will not engage in gainful employment in the Philippines and will not commit illegal activities or break any laws in the Philippines. And finally, it provides that other requirements may be imposed, but only through the implementing rules and regulations of the law. Number 6, Section 7 provides for the conditions for the continued stay of a foreigner under a digital nomad visa. It also mandates that the digital nomad should comply with the annual reporting requirement of the Bureau of Immigration. Section 7, or Section number 7, Section 8 lays down the option for foreigners under a temporary visitor's visa or a tourist visa to apply for conversion to a digital nomad visa, provided that the foreigner must possess all of the qualifications and must submit all the requirements provided in the law. It also states that a foreigner who has successfully applied for a conversion to a digital nomad must comply with all of the conditions set forth in the law. Number 8, Section 9 grants a digital nomad the privilege to exit and re-enter the Philippines without the need to secure additional permits for the duration of the validity of the digital nomad visa. This is one of the benefits granted to digital nomads to entice them to come to the country and work remotely while enjoying our beautiful tourist destinations. Number 9, Section 10 also grants another incentive, which is to ensure that any income the digital nomad receives from their client or employer abroad will not be subject to tax in this country. Number 10, Section 11 provides for the cancellation of a digital nomad for any violation of this law and any other law in the country. Or I'm referring to the Philippines. Number 11, Section 12, which is the reciprocity provision. It mandates the DFA to maintain, regularly update, and share with the Department of Tourism and the Bureau of Immigration a list of countries that grants Filipinos the same rights, benefits, and privileges provided in our digital nomad visa law. And finally, Section 13, which is the Digital Nomad Visa Register, mandates that the Bureau of Immigration, in coordination with the DFA, or the Department of Foreign Affairs, the DICT, and the DOT, to maintain a digital nomad visa register for monitoring and compliance with the provisions of this bill. So, Madam Chair, my dear colleagues, with these provisions in place, the TWG, which this representation humbly chairs, believes that we will be able to entice foreigners who work and derive their income purely through online means to come and visit the country and enjoy the beautiful sights of the Philippines and experience the world-famous hospitality of Filipinos. This bill also provides ample safeguards or protection to ensure that only those who are qualified are allowed to enter the country using a digital nomad visa, and to prevent unscrupulous individuals from taking advantage of the benefits provided in this measure for nefarious purposes. So, with all the foregoing considered, I earnestly seek the committee's approval of this bill and the corresponding committee report. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, dear colleagues.
I would like to thank the TWG Chair, Vice Chair Acharon, and the TWG member, Congressman Bingo Matugas, for working hard on coming up with the substitute bill. But before we take action on the substitute bill, I would like to ask if there are members who would like to ask questions or comments on the bill. If there's none, is there any resource person? Yes, Congressman Ned.
Madam Chair, this is not a question, but rather, I believe that with extensive studies, time given by the technical working group, and after considering all the bills filed, even after the technical working group, as mentioned by the chairman, that it was also considered in finalizing this technical working group report. I believe that, and considering further, that the same is only being granted to the countries that offers the same benefits to our citizens. I support the report of the chair of the technical working group. And
thank you, Congressman Fresnedi. Any other members? If there's none, we would like to ask the resource persons present if they wish to give their final remarks on the measure. From the DFA.
Good morning, Madam Chair, esteemed colleagues in the government. We would like to just comment and propose a slight tweaking in section on the digital nomad visa. Hold on, please, because it does not specify which is section 3. Hold on, please. Okay, section 4, digital nomad visa. An alien who is gainfully employed in a country other than the Republic of the Philippines, or who otherwise performs remote work for a client or employer not a citizen of the Republic of the Philippines, or not registered pursuant to the Philippine laws may apply for and be granted a digital nomad visa to stay in the Philippines by the Department of Foreign Affairs through its foreign service posts. If you could please
believe-
consider this.
I believe this was already taken up in the TWG. Yes. Yes,
Yes, Madam Chair, it was taken up together with considered with all the recommendations.
Yes, because it's not clear who is the issuing authority here. It will be issued from abroad, right?
Pang bingo. Can you hear from the audience?
Yes, Madam Chair. The issuing, in the original bill, we proposed that the issuing authority will be the immigration authority, and considering that there's a reciprocity provision under Section 9, under
Section 12. 12.
Section 12, I propose that the recommendation of the Department of Foreign Affairs is
Already
considered.
Yes,
But
already considered.
I think they want that it will be specified. Yes, ma'am. Was that your question?
Yes, sir, because it's not clear who will be issuing. There is a provision on conversion upon arrival, which the DFA in principle does not oppose. It is within the purview of the Bureau of Immigration. But if it's, foreigners coming in from abroad, of course, they will apply for the appropriate visa because they're coming in from abroad.
Yes.
So we have already conveyed this in our position paper that the DFA, to its Foreign Service Post, be the one to issue digital nomad visas from abroad.
Yeah.
And we submitted our position paper on this. And in fact, also we were asked by the Office of the President, the PNS, to provide the procedures and the requirements. And I believe this came from us. The requirements and the procedures we have provided also. And the study, we conducted the study. So, thank you.
Thank you very
Madam
much.
Chair.
Madam Chair, yes, I'm agreeable with what.
I think Kong Ton has a comment.
Madam Chair, there is no specific statement regarding that as raised by the DFA because that is the existing policy, I suppose, Madam Chair. And we would not need to have it restated in this particular measure because that is the existing provision. It would really be the DFA which would be issuing as it is being done at present.
We will just retain what is the pleasure of the author.
Yes, Madam Chair, I think that can be placed in the IRR once this bill is passed.
Okay. Anyway, your comment is noted.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you. Thank you.
from the Department of Tourism? Do you have any comments before we
Thank you, Madam
act
Chair.
on the substitute bill? Yes.
Madam Chair, the Department of Tourism interposes no objection, and we fully support the bill to be passed. We believe that the provisions stated on the draft bill are already included in our positions, and we believe that this draft already competitively enough to promote digital tourism within our ASEAN neighbors. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone from the ICT? Wala. So, the ICT, wala. Okay, so, BI, wala. BI?
Good morning, Your Honor. The Bureau of Immigration does not interpose any objection and fully support the passing of this bill.
Okay. So now the floor is now open for any motion.
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move for the approval of this substitute bill to House Bill number 8165, 9766, and 10912 and the corresponding committee report. Taking into consideration, Madam Chair, the statement from the DFA representative and subject to form and style, Madam Chair. I salute, Madam Chair.
Is there any objection? We're already, yes. We're already approving the, yeah, we're already approving the bill. Actually, there was a TWG and they had the chance to already give their opinions there. So
Yes, Madam Chair.
there's a motion.
This is the second.
Second.
Okay,
They're being,
yes.
they're being
We will listen to you after because the motion is already on the floor. Yes, there's a pending motion. So, there being no objection, the motion is approved. House bills, the substitute bill is hereby
and the corresponding.
approved, and the corresponding committee report is hereby approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll give you a chance to yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For Section 8, Digital Nomad Visa Register, the DFA wishes to seek guidance and clarification on the purpose of the creation of the database, specifically for this visa type, and if DFA will be the issuing agency for the visa for the DFA to maintain the database instead of the Bureau of Immigration.
Madam Chair, can I comment? Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I think for the register, I think it's a simple gathering of information of who are those digital nomads coming into the Philippines. So it can be maintained by either the DFA, the Bureau of Immigration, the Department of Tourism, because those agencies are much interested. They're very interested on the people coming in, no, the visitors coming into our country. So I think there's no problem with that if it can be maintained by more than one agency, Madam Chair.
Thank you po, Congressman Matugas. So I would like to suspend first this part of the meeting so that the resource persons and guests who are not involved in the next items of the agenda can already leave and you are excused. So meeting is suspended. Meeting is resumed. We now proceed to the next item in the agenda. The committee secretary is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill number 11043, an act providing for a civil forfeiture in favor of the state, any unlawfully acquired real estate properties by any foreign national, filed by the Honorable Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Dong Gonzales, Deputy Speaker David J.J. Suarez, Representatives Robert Ace Barbers, Bienvenido Abante, Dan Fernandez, Joseph Stephen Caraps Paduano, Romeo Acop, Johnny Pimentel, Jervil Jinky Beatrix Luistro, Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez, Francisco Paulo Ortega, Jefferson Konghun, Jonathan Keith Flores, and Ernesto Junicio Jr. Your Honor.
Thank you, Comsec. The chair recognizes Congresswoman or Vice Chair Jinky Luistro to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In representation of the Quad and all the principal authors of House Bill number 11043, I wish to manifest that this is one of the legislative measures which resulted from the inquiry in aid of legislation that was conducted by the Joint Committee on Dangerous Drugs, Human Rights, Public Order, and Public Accounts. In representation of all the principal authors, Madam Chair, please allow me to read the explanatory note which we are adopting as the sponsorship speech. This bill seeks to provide for civil forfeiture in favor of the state any unlawfully acquired real estate properties by any foreign national. The prohibition against land ownership by aliens is undoubted and is primarily found in Article 12, Section 7 and 8 of the 1987 Constitution. It is very clear to all Filipino citizens na ang lupa po dito sa Pilipinas is exclusive for Filipino citizens only, and for corporations, the corporations must be 60% Filipino-owned. However, thousands of aliens have been flocking to the Philippines to establish Philippine offshore gaming operators. This has turned out to be closely linked to criminal activities such as human trafficking and illegal drugs. Upon further investigation on POGOs, it was also discovered that these aliens are effectively acquiring Filipino citizenship by securing falsified birth certificates, falsified passports, falsified driver's licenses with the help, I lament, corrupt public officials in the local civil registrars, Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Land Transportation Authority. Using these falsified public documents, these unscrupulous aliens are able to skirt the constitutional prohibition on foreign land ownership. In other words, Madam Chair, esteemed colleagues, and resource speakers, marami pong foreign nationals at present time ang nagmamay-ari or nailipat sa kanilang mga pangalan ang lupa ng ating bansa, which are supposed to be exclusive for Filipino nationals as provided under the Philippine Constitution. The continued violation to the provisions of our Constitution on alien land ownership cannot be allowed to continue. More so, that the primary violators belong to the POGO industry, which has already been banned from the Philippines by His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. This measure seeks to implement such directive. In fact, the issue of illegal POGOs has already pushed several lawmakers to move for the immediate forfeiture proceedings against said foreign entities and individuals who exploited legal loopholes in the acquisition of Philippine properties. Moving forward, it is then imperative to never let such activities to continue in the Philippines. We need to put an end to this illegal activity of having this alien acquiring the Philippine land. Thus, by reiterating existing policies against foreign land ownership, establishing the necessary communication framework for better enforcement of the prohibition on foreign land ownership, and allocating for public use any real property acquired through successful forfeiture proceedings, the corrupt practices may be curbed, if not totally eliminated. In view of the foregoing, the immediate approval of this bill is highly and earnestly recommended. This explanatory note is signed by SDS Aurelio Don Gonzalez, the four chairmen of the Quad, along with the esteemed members of the Quadruple Committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We now call on our resource persons to give their comments on the measures. Let's start with the OSG.
Good morning, Your Honors. The OSG has finalized.
Please identify yourself.
Your Honor, I am Associate Solicitor Lance Olives from the OSG. The OSG has already prepared the final draft of the position paper, Your Honors. However, it is still pending approval before Solicitor General Guevara. Your Honor, we shall be submitting the position paper as soon as it is approved by Solicitor General Guevara, Your Honor.
How soon can you submit that?
Your Honors, we shall submit it as soon as possible, Your Honor.
Kung mahirap yun, walang deadline.
Your Honors, I will refer to my seniors, but within next week, Your Honors, we may submit it.
Okay. Yes, Charon.
Madam Chair, with due respect to the resource persons who are present, in the previous, in many committee hearings before, we have already made a reminder, Madam Chair, to our resource persons to just please submit your position paper in time, or maybe before the committee hearing of any measure to be taken on the floor. Not just to send associate or any authorized representative who will just make a manifestation that their position paper is pending approval. That may not be good for the process we are undertaking here, because you're actually delaying the process that we're supposed to speed up given the time that is allocated to us. And we don't even know if, with due respect to the resource persons who are present, if you are duly authorized to speak for the agency that you are representing. So maybe we should correct that, Madam Chair, because as much as possible, we would need the presence of the head of the agency so that they can explain why they are not coming up with the position paper in time. This is a very crucial piece of legislation, as explained by the author. There should be no delaying here, and the resource person should be as much interested than the author in making your position on the matter, so that we can proceed from your position paper and other materials for our deliberation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I agree with our Vice Chair. Actually, in our invitations, we indicated the head of agency or authorized representative. But that doesn't mean that the authorized representative will come here and just tell us that you will be submitting your position paper. So this is a warning to the resource persons that either the head of agency will be here or you submit the position paper before the hearing. And in fact, the notices were sent very early. So there's no excuse for the delay in the filing or the submission of the position papers. So this is a warning. So next time we won't be as kind. So you please inform your bosses, the head of agency, and maybe next time we can already indicate that the head of agency and not just the authorized representative should be here. Or even if it's an authorized representative, Vice Chair, as long as they can answer the questions. Yes, not just tell us that the position paper is pending.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. We deeply apologize. We are only authorized to manifest that the said position paper has already been submitted. So we shall relay this warning to our
And
peers.
in fact, in the invitation, it already states there that the authorized persons that that will be sent should be able to answer the questions of the committee. I mean, everyone is busy. We are all busy, so you are wasting our time. So this is already a warning. Next time, we won't be as kind anymore.
We deeply apologize, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Additional manifestation. So the resource persons will understand where this urgency is coming from. I believe that the Register of Deeds of the province of Pampanga is present in today's hearing. It has come to our knowledge that a number of real properties illegally acquired by foreign nationals have been successfully transferred already to other persons. And what we're trying to do right now is to take hold of these properties and bring it to the benefit of the state in favor of the Filipino people. Kung mabagal po tayo, baka po wala tayong abutin sa mga properties na ito. I understand that the AMLA, Anti-Money Laundering Council, has this authority to initiate the freeze order, but we have to acknowledge the fact that there are certain limitations with respect to the cases when they can file a petition for freeze order. This will help the Philippine government a lot reacquire the real properties which were illegally transferred to foreign nationals so that it will inure to the benefit of the Filipino people. As stated under Section 10, napakaganda na po ng plano kung saan dadalhin ito. And the best illustration for us to better understand what is the intention of this law. Mayroon po tayong mga na-raid na pogo dun sa Pampanga. Right now, the status is uncertain because we do not have sufficient law which will enable the government to reacquire those properties. That includes not only the land, but even the building erected thereon. Dapat po ito pinakikinabangan ng mamamayang Pilipino. Naloko na nga po tayo. Pinakinabangan ng foreign nationals na gamit sa illegal activities. Magbabagal pa po ba tayo? So that at least we can reacquire real properties which should rightfully belong to the Filipino people. Thank you, Madam Chair.
as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the purpose of the deliberations of the bill is to discuss the technical aspects of the bill, so we can already come up with a bill that we will present to the plenary. This is, we're not going to discuss factual issues because that has already been exhausted during the Quadcom hearings. So we want to come up with the bill, but how can we do that if the resource persons who are experts, who can help us with the technical aspect of the bill, are not here or are not able to answer the questions or discuss the provisions of the bill? So Warning, next week I intend to have another hearing on this. So you have to be here. The head of agency has to be here, or whoever they send should be able to answer the questions of the committee. Is that clear to all the resource persons? Okay. So we'll now proceed with the AMLA, the Anti-Money Laundering Council.
Yes,
Please
good morning.
identify yourself.
I'm Attorney Anthony Lawrence Morales of the Anti-Money Laundering Council, Madam Chair. I would like to also apologize for just like in the case of OSG, because as you may know, the Anti-Money Laundering Council is headed by a council which can only act unanimously, and given that that unanimity requirement for the approval of our position paper, we cannot provide for today the formal position paper of the AMLAC, but we can already share the general comments for that we have submitted for the council, Madam Chair.
We continue. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our another vice chairperson from the Lone District of San Juan, Honorable Isabel Maria Zamora. See, you can proceed.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have just few comments on the draft bill. Our first comment is for the short title, Madam Chair. Maybe it's not that material, but for purposes, Madam Chair, of being specific and to avoid confusion, considering that we have so many civil forfeiture remedies under more prominent laws, Madam Chair, particularly the Anti-Money Laundering Act, the Terrorism Financing Prevention and Suppression Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, Madam Chair, and even our Ill-Gotten Wealth Act, Madam Chair, all provide for a civil forfeiture remedy. We propose, Madam Chair, that the short title be renamed or be called in other nomenclature. We propose, Madam Chair, titles such as Foreign Acquired Realty Forfeiture Act or Foreign Acquired Land Forfeiture Act instead of a generic Civil Forfeiture Act, Madam Chair.
Can you hold on? Kong Luistro, would you consider would you consider the proposal of the wish?
Can you kindly restate the proposed title, short title?
It's either a Foreign Acquired Realty Forfeiture Act, or if we want to be more specific with land, Foreign Acquired Land Forfeiture Act, Madam Chair.
Actually, the purpose of this bill is not to confine the forfeiture to land, but even the properties erected thereon. And as far as we are concerned, everything that is erected on a real property are considered real property as well.
Madam Chair. So in that case, Madam Chair, maybe the committee can consider Foreign Acquired Realty Forfeiture Act. Realty is short for real property, Madam Chair, which is also an accepted nomenclature for real property or real
Is it not that the meaning is the same? Foreign Acquired Real Property Forfeiture Act.
Yes, Madam Chair. The version of the bill that's what's referred to as states that the short title shall be called Civil Forfeiture Act, Madam Chair.
Short title.
You are referring only to the short title.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. But the long title, just to distinguish, is okay with you.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Foreign Acquired Real Property Act.
Forfeiture Act.
Forfeiture Act. Real Property Forfeiture Act. That is acceptable, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kong Luistro. You may proceed.
Yes, Madam Chair. For our second comment, Madam Chair, with regard to Section 5, we noticed that the wordings are probably adapted from our law on forfeiture of ill-gotten wealth. So it states that any taxpayer may file a complaint before a city or provincial prosecutor. Although we recognize that the term citizen is already wide enough to cover everyone who can file a complaint before the city or provincial prosecutor, maybe the committee may consider including the term or any taxpayer or government agency, because in most instances we may it's the government agency concerns who will learn about this possible acquisition of foreign land or real estate by foreigners, Madam Chair.
Okay, Kong Jinky.
Madam Chair, I accept the proposition that instead of taxpayer, we use any Filipino citizen.
That would suffice, Madam Chair.
Just to clarify, we do not add any more government agency, Kong Jinky.
I believe, Madam Chair, that when we use any Filipino citizen, that would necessarily include already even the government offices in the Philippines.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Dito taxpayer.
Finally, Madam Chair, just for the section 13 of the bill with regard to the issuance of the implementing rules and regulations, we noticed that the proposed provision designates the head of the agency to be the one who will issue the implementing rules and regulations. We just noticed that in most laws where there is a provision for the issuance of implementing rules, it's the agency itself and not the head, for just to give flexibility, Madam Chair. So instead of the Solicitor General shall, in coordination with the secretaries, so it will be the Office of the Solicitor General in coordination with the departments of the identified departments, Madam Chair. And for the Anti-Money Laundering, it should be the Anti-Money Laundering Council as an agency and not the chairman, Madam Chair.
Kong Jinky.
The proposition is accepted, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all, Madam Chair. Subject to also the submission of our formal position paper, which will already include what I have manifested, Madam Chair.
Okay, so now we go to the LRA.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Attorney Elizalde, Director for the Legal Service of the agency. First of all, I would like to apologize because we did not bring the position paper. However, it will be submitted later through email if that is acceptable, Madam Chair. And we support the bill, of course, and we only have 2 comments on the matter, which is going to be reflected in our position paper. In section 3, respecting civil forfeiture, it is stated any real estate property transferred or conveyed to unqualified foreign national is null and void. I think this is the provision is muddy. I think our proposition is that it should be stated in this way: any conveyance of title of real estate property to unqualified foreign national, natural or juridical, in violation of the constitutional prohibition is null and void. What we are speaking here is the transaction, the transfer, not the realty itself. So that was overlooked. We just happened to see it yesterday. And secondly, yes,
Can you hold
I'm
on?
sorry.
We'll allow the author to comment on your comment. Yes,
Thank you, Your Honors.
Madam Chair, I acknowledge the point of the resource person and I subscribe to his opinion, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat po. And there's one more thing. Section 5, it appears that there is no provision on injunction. What we would like the authors to add po is that there is a provision that injunction or a restraining order be issued to the Register of Deeds of the city or province where the land is located so that they can freeze any transactions which may be made on the property. We would like this because it is the Register of Deeds who has possession of the titles and not the Land Registration Authority, which merely has administrative control over these offices. If it would please the committee, we would like a provision to be included on injunction or a restraining order.
Kong Jinky.
Madam Chair, I wish to bring this to the committee members because I understand that the Register of Deeds are under the Office of the Land Registration Authority. I am more concerned about the bigger perspective rather than pertaining to specific Register of Deeds only. So, may we solicit the opinion of the other committee members? There is no issue about the issuance of TRO, perhaps an injunction later on. However, as to against whom we're going to issue the same, whether it should be the specific Register of Deeds or the Land Registration Authority itself, in order to encompass all the illegally acquired properties, let us solicit first the opinion of the other committee members.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, for the enlightenment of the committee, may we request the Register of Deeds of, or the LRA? How do we distinguish the LRA from RD in as far as the mandate is concerned? It's quite confusing because I believe that the central office is the LRA and all the Register of Deeds are under the supervision and control of the LRA. That's what I understand.
Who would like to answer that? The LRA?
Yes, Your
go ahead.
Honors.
Please proceed.
The concern here is actually the law, Presidential Decree 1529, or the Property Registration Decree, mandates that the control over title shall be with the registers of deeds and not the LRA. Now, we could receive the injunction at the central office, but we would have to course it down to the registry of deeds. This would be faster in line with Presidential Decree 1529, which gives jurisdiction over the titles upon the registers of deeds. It is a matter of convenience and expeditiousness, Your Honors.
Yes, Kong Acharon.
Madam Chair, are we talking here of a prospective provision on injunction that is going to be enforced against the Register of Deeds or the LRA? I think, Madam Chair, the statement of the representative from the LRA is well. The provisions also of the rules of court in the issuance of injunction, which is actually territorial. So if you impose it against a office which is not within the territory of the property against which the injunction order is going to be implemented, then it's not going to. It's not going to apply really. So I agree that the injunction should be against the Register of Deeds, which is the actual and final implementing agency as to the issuance of the title. So I agree that the prospective injunctive relief will be against the Register of Deeds, not the LRA.
Kong Jinky.
Madam Chair, in line with the manifestation of the resource speaker and the Honorable Acharon, and considering the clear provision of PD number 1529, we subscribe to the proposition that the injunction be issued to the RD and not to the LRA. However, Madam Chair, I wish to bring to the attention of the committee as well that apart from the registered properties, there are huge number of properties which are unregistered. And I believe that the Register of Deeds and even the LRA have no control over the same. The one who has control over its issuance and transfer are the provincial assessors, the city and the municipal assessors. So I understand that this bill will still be subject to a lot of revisions, but I wish to manifest the intention of the author to include provincial assessor, city assessor, and municipal assessor every time the LRA and the Register of Deeds are mentioned in this bill, so as to include even the unregistered lands.
Noted. That is noted. Any other comments from the LRA?
The LRA has no more comments.
Thank you. Now we go to the ALG.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and to the members of the esteemed committee. The Department of the Interior...
Introduce yourself first and your...
I am Attorney Ross Bascuñan, the Director for Legal and Legislative Liaison of the Department. Madam Chair.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Department of the Interior and Local Government fully supports the proposed bill on civil forfeiture of unlawfully acquired real properties by foreign nationals. House Bill 11043 aligns with the principles of good governance, accountability, and national sovereignty, which are fundamental to maintaining the integrity of our country's laws and protecting the interests of the Filipino people. The department recognizes the increasing concerns surrounding the unlawful acquisition of land by foreign nationals, which not only undermines the intent of land ownership laws, but also compromises national security and economic stability. By instituting a legal mechanism for the forfeiture of real properties obtained through legal means, this bill will empower the state to reclaim such properties, ensuring they are returned to rightful ownership and promote fairness within our legal framework. The department is committed to assisting in the effective implementation of this law, including thorough close coordination with relevant local government units, law enforcement agencies, and other stakeholders to ensure that its provisions are upheld and that any illicit activities are addressed appropriately. Thank you, Madam Chair. We will be submitting our finalized and signed position paper within the week, Madam Chair.
Okay, we now proceed to the DOF. Any representative from the DOF? Okay, DAR, representative from the DAR.
Good morning, Your Honors, Madam Chair. I am Attorney Eugene Foliante, the OIC Assistant Secretary for Legal Affairs, Ali Ala, representing the department, Your Honors. May I continue? Yes, Your Honors. Like the others, we don't have yet the finalized comments from the department, but I can verbalize, Your Honors, some of our points in support of the proposed bill. Number 11043, entitled An Act Providing for the Civil Forfeiture in favor of the state, any unlawfully acquired real estate properties by any foreign national, Your Honors. The Department of Agrarian Reform is in full support of this measure. The department is the lead agency in the implementation of the
comprehensive agrarian reform program, through land tenure improvement, agrarian justice, and coordinated delivery of essential support, and land tenure improvement, agrarian justice, and coordinated delivery of essential support services to client beneficiaries. Through the effective implementation of the CORP, the DAR seeks to contribute to the attainment of the following goals of the rural development sector, thus agrarian, peace and stability, sustainable development, social justice, and industrialization in the countryside. As the lead agency of the government, tasked to uphold and implement comprehensive and genuine agrarian reform, which actualizes equitable land distribution, ownership, agricultural productivity, and tenure security for, and with the tillers of the land towards the improvement of their quality of life, the intention to forfeit those illegally acquired properties is well within the purview of the program. Your Honors, Section 5 of this measure, proposed measure, giving jurisdiction to the regional trial courts on forfeiture of illegally acquired properties. We would like to impress to this honorable committee that the Office of the Secretary of the Department of Agrarian Reform has the authority under RA 9700, 6657 as amended by RA 9700. It is now within the jurisdiction of the Office of the Secretary to cancel those that are issued titles. Considering that a lot of illegally transferred titles involves agricultural lands that were already covered by the Department of Agrarian Reform, and I'm sure 90% of those cases might be those already covered by the Department of Agrarian Reform. In that view, it is now the Office of the Secretary of the DAR that has the authority to cancel. Now, we are proposing, Madam Chair, that the action, jurisdiction, with respect to those for forfeiture of those lands that were already covered by the department should be lodged with the department, Your Honor. Because if we will allow the RTC to process these forfeiture matters, it might transgress the jurisdiction of the Office of the Secretary. And another one, Madam Chair, it will hasten, if it is an administrative forfeiture being done before the Department of Land Reform, it will hasten the processes. And it will, unlike in, I'm sorry for this term, unlike with the regular courts, because of the processes in our regular courts, it has to drag on, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair.
Before you continue, we'll ask Kong Luiso to make a comment.
Madam Chair, I'm lost about the manifestation of the DAR resource speaker, because my understanding is that when the title is DAR issued, the recipient of the title is a Filipino citizen qualified under CARP.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Tama ba?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And I understand that in the titles which are being issued by the DAR, there's a certain prohibition period.
10-year holding period, Madam Chair.
And after 10 years,
They can dispose it.
they can dispose it. Who issues the transfer of the title? Who facilitates the transfer of the title? Is it not at the LRA pa rin?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes. So, it is quite confusing that you are manifesting about the transfer of title which is being done by DAR.
Madam Chair, there are illegal transfers being done in the provinces that will, for example, a beneficiary may sell it to a foreigner, may sell it to unqualified owner, no? So it has to be adjudicated before the office of the DAR. So in that view, those titles that were transferred to those unqualified persons like the foreigners may also be cancelled, Madam Chair.
If the transfer is done within the prohibition period, I believe that whether he is a foreigner or Filipino citizen is not material anymore.
Yes, sir.
Whatever transfer done within the period of 10 years, as you have said, are considered illegal.
Yes,
So I think we're going outside the context of the civil forfeiture, which is the subject matter of this bill. And I wish to submit, Madam Chair, that in as far as illegally acquired by foreign nationals are concerned, the proper agency must be given the mandate to take hold of these properties still is the Register of Deeds in the LRA. And of course, the provincial assessors for the unregistered. The authority of the DAR is in line with the implementation of CARP, and I understand that there are illegal transfers in violation of the CARP. However, this is quite outside the context already of the illegally acquired properties by foreign nationals. Nonetheless, I appreciate your manifestation, and I wish to bring to the attention of the LRA and the RD and the assessors that we should focus not only on non-agricultural, but even agricultural, because I understand that most of the illegally transferred really are agricultural properties. And let me take advantage also of this chance to remind the DAR that the office had a very great participation in as far as this anomaly is concerned, because notwithstanding the stringent requirement for the conversion of the property, reclassification of the property, we do not understand really how these foreign nationals were able to facilitate the reclassification, the conversion from agricultural to commercial or industrial in so short a period of time, a period of around 6 months. Alam po natin, napakahirap ng conversion process, and I am anticipating that the Quad will likewise be coming up with a bill that pertains to the land conversion. Siguro kailangan din po natin higpitan. But this time, it's not about the transfer. It's about the mandate about conversion of the land. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kong Luis Rosso. Any other comments from Doc?
Yes, we thank you for the comment, Madam Chair. We also support, Madam Chair, Section 10 with respect to the disposal of those forfeited agricultural lands in favor of our agrarian farm beneficiaries. This is well within the mandate of the department. We thank you for including this provision, Section 10, paragraph A, Madam Chair. And
Our other comments, Madam Chair, shall be forwarded within the week. Actually, it's being drafted. We're so sorry, Madam Chair. We beg the indulgence of the Honorable Committee. It was just referred to me yesterday. Last afternoon yesterday. So I haven't prepared the written comment from the department. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So I think we've already asked all the are there any other resource persons that we have not called?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Yeah, can we solicit just a little comment on the issue that the Honorable Jinky Luistro was discussing with the DAR about just a little, maybe.
enumerate mo ano requirements.
Yeah, may we ask the LRA regarding the issue?
LRA.
Just on the issue that you just discussed with the.
About the land conversion.
Yes,
Pero
yes.
sa DAR yan eh.
Dario.
Kong Ton, I think that's a different committee. Yeah. Agrarian reform.
Not a conversion, by the way, Madam Chair, just a point of discussion, academic discussion. Is there not a conversion thing or matter in the local government unit?
There is reclassification. We call it reclassification.
That is why it's being done. You can do it quick there if you have the you have the numbers.
We need really Congressman Acharon, the Honorable Acharon, to draw the definite line between reclassification, the process we do in the LGU, Sangguniang Bayan, and the land conversion. Because parang nag-overlap ito eh. As you've said, if you have the numbers, land which are supposed to go through the process of conversion, doon nila dinadala sa LGU to simplify. And we've seen a lot of that in Pampanga in a period of like 3 months, 4 months. One hearing only. And the agricultural land is instantly reclassified into industrial commercial land.
So maybe our members can file the appropriate House resolution so that the appropriate committee can discuss those issues.
Is it not because of the power granted by the local government to the local government giving them the power to convert the land conversion?
Madam Chair, I understand that the LGU has the authority to do the reclassification. However, it's high time already that we draw the line between the conversion process under the Department of Agrarian Reform and the reclassification, which is under the local government unit, because they are being mixed and mistakenly facilitated as one and the same. Pag ang kaibigan mo nasa DAR, you do the conversion, pero kung wala kang kaibigan doon, and like what Honorable Acharon said, you have the number in the LGU, what you do is reclassification. No? Let us draw the definite line in between these two processes, including the requirements that we need. Thank you.
First Nedi, any other? Are you okay? So before we proceed, I would like to inform the committee that the court administrator submitted a letter that he is precluded from providing a comment on the subject House bill. As such, a statement could potentially preempt any future legal challenges brought before the Supreme Court, particularly on the validity or constitutionality of the aforesaid legislation. Be that as it may, and wanting to preliminarily contribute to the discussion, allow me to submit a copy of AM number 051104, the Supreme Court, dated November 15, 2005, on the rule of procedure in cases of civil forfeiture, asset preservation, and freezing of monetary instrument, property, or proceeds representing, involving, or relating to an unlawful activity or money laundering offense under RA 9160 as amended. Perhaps this will give the committee an initial idea about what the Supreme Court has done so far as civil forfeiture that may, as being contemplated by the proposed measure, specifically apply to foreign nationals. So that is the letter of the court administrator. Maybe we can also consider that their comment. Pong Jinky.
Yes.
Okay. So now that we've heard all the resource persons, what is the pleasure of the committee?
Madam Chair, can I make a,
Yes,
I just have a short comment.
Yes.
I noticed that some
Councilor.
of the provisions here, some of the sections are procedural in nature. For example, we have the filing and venue, and then the next one is contents of the petition, period for answer. And then a few sections later, it's already about the disposal of the property successfully acquired through civil forfeiture proceedings. So for me, it's a little lacking in that we jump from the procedural aspect of the case to disposal without any mention of judgment. I know there's a, here there is the AM 21-313 of SC, there's a rule on asset preservation, there's a forfeiture order, but maybe since we already put some sections on procedure here, maybe we can close it by putting a procedure on maybe judgment or decision of the RTC. Just to
Madam Chair, we wish to solicit the legal contribution of the Honorable Zamora. And as far as House Bill number 11043, we are open to adding provisions to this bill and submitting the same in as far as the form and style necessary is concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Madam
what is
Chair
the
and
pleasure of the committee?
Motion to suspend.
Madam Chair, I understand that we still have some other matters to be discussed this afternoon. So meantime, I respectfully move that we suspend today's hearing, Mr. Chair, until, Madam Chair, until this afternoon.
There.
Second.
So the meeting is suspended. Thank you, and we will see you at 1 o'clock. Please. Thank you.
JK.
Check 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. Check.